Maybe you're building a separate pedal board dedicated solely to practicing at home, or maybe you just want to add some features to your existing pedal board to make it more suitable for practice. Either way, these are my 5 favourite effects for using when I'm focusing on practice. A few things I'll mention first. I find, as a general rule, keeping things as simple and stripped down as possible in terms of pedals and technology in general helps me focus on what I need to do in my practice time. So the less the better in many ways, just because it keeps distractions to a minimum. Another thing is multi-effects. Even though multi-effects are normally pretty complex and powerful, you can still use a lot of the stuff I'm going to cover here to help you create a dedicated patch in the memory just for practice. That'd be a nice way of reining in some of the complexity and distraction that often comes with using a multi-effect setup. I think everyone knows that looper pedals can be useful, but I'm going to break it down into 3 levels of looping so you can more easily find a looper pedal with the features that you need, and you might get a few ideas of how you can use a looper in your practice as well. First level of looping would be if you're just looping short chord vamps to improvise over or practice licks over. If that's all you're doing, then a lot of the built-in loopers that come with delay pedals or practice amps or just the very simple like one knob looper pedals will be just fine. You know, they don't have a lot of memory features and often don't have a very long record time, but they're simple, easy to use and fuss-free. Next level of looping would be if you need longer record times and memory features. I'm using this Boss RC30, but I'm really talking about stuff like the Boss RC5, the Electro Harmonix 720, maybe the Ditto Plus, stuff like that. Great if you have longer exercises that run through all 12 keys, or if you want to create backing tracks for longer segments of songs. For that sort of stuff, you need those longer record times. And it's nice to be able to store your loops so that you don't have to re-record them every single practice session. The third level of looping is if you want something that can provide extra features like drum patterns and recording on multiple tracks. Combine that with an octave pedal so you can kind of record in fake bass lines and those sorts of sounds. And with that sort of a setup, you can create some really sophisticated backing tracks. And while it's probably not necessary for most people's practice sessions, if it makes your practice more fun and enjoyable and you don't get too distracted by the extra options, then, you know, why not? Go for it. What kind of drive pedal you use is going to depend a lot on what styles of music you're practicing. If you're just practicing jazz, then clean might be just fine. If you're practicing a lot of metal, then high gain distortion sounds are going to be much more important. Whatever it is, just make sure you have a good range of sounds that you need for practicing. And if you're not sure where to start, then just having 3 main sounds, a clean sound, a nice mild overdrive, and a good high gain distortion is a really good place to start, and it covers most styles. I practice a pretty wide range of styles, so an amp modeler pedal like this covers everything I'm going to need, and it's nice to have it all in one pedal. It also has a headphone out, which is useful for silent practice. Whatever it is that you choose, whether it's a combination of 2 or 3 pedals or an all-in-one solution, just make sure you got the range of sounds that you need and you can get to all those sounds quickly and easily. Most of us practice in relatively small rooms and they can sound a bit dead and lifeless. Using an always-on medium room reverb can just make it sound like you're playing in a larger, more professional studio environment or something. It's quite flattering to the sound of the guitar. It can just make it more enjoyable to listen to. And while I don't use reverb all that much at gigs, at home when I'm practicing, a medium always-on reverb like this adds a touch of class to your sound. I'll switch the reverb on and off a bit and see if you can hear what I mean. If you want more options for your time-based effects, then a simple delay pedal is a nice addition. Again, I'm not going to go too crazy with this, just a shortish delay, fairly low in level, just adds a nice sense of space and atmosphere to the sound. It's no good if you're practicing like tight, precise rhythms, but if you're maybe practicing more melodic stuff or more chord and harmony based stuff, then it lets the notes linger really nicely. You might want access to some sort of modulation effects, and while a simple chorus might be enough for a lot of people, if you use modulation a lot, then a multi-modulation pedal, a bit like the Electro Harmonix Mod 11, might be better. I quite like having a flanger for this spot. I've got a whole video on all the different sounds you can get from a simple 4-knob flanger like this, but it's a nice way of keeping things simple, yet I can still hoax a good range of modulation effects that I might need for practicing. Other worthy mentions are drop tune pedals. If you quickly need to recap a tune that's, say, in an E-flat tuning, or if you play a lot of metal, that style has a lot of songs with drop tuning in as well. Drum machine type pedals are really useful. They're good if you like to play along with a drum machine rather than a metronome as a practice tool. A tuner pedal is always handy too. I also have a whole video on practice amp setups that you might want to check out. Let me know down in the comments what your favourite pedal is when you're practicing.